Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Happy Aura channel. It is your friend and life coach, Jenny, here with you today. I hope you are sitting comfortably, perhaps with a warm cup of tea in your hand, or maybe you are taking a gentle walk while you listen to my voice. Wherever you are, I want you to take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. Today, we are going to navigate some deep waters together. We are going to talk about something that touches every single one of us, often when we least expect it. We are going to talk about meanness, cruelty, and the confusing, painful moments when the world feels cold. We have all been there. You are going about your day, feeling relatively light and open to the world. Maybe you are at work, proud of a project you have just finished. Maybe you are at a family gathering, hoping for connection. Or perhaps you are just in love, standing open-hearted before a partner. And then, without warning, it happens. Someone pushes you away. A colleague makes a sharp, cutting remark that feels entirely disproportionate to the situation. A friend gossips about your children, spreading rumors that have no basis in reality. A partner shuts down, treating you with a coldness that freezes your very spirit. Or perhaps it is something more tangible, like someone stealing your money or betraying a trust you held sacred. In that moment, the primary sensation is pain. It is a sharp, stinging ache in the chest. But right behind that pain, riding on its coattails, is another sensation that is almost as agonizing: puzzlement. A dire, heavy confusion. We find ourselves reduced to a state of bewildered questioning. We ask ourselves, why on earth did this happen? Why is this person behaving this way? What is wrong with me? Or worse, what is wrong with human nature? These questions swirl around our heads like a storm, adding a whole new layer of suffering to the original wound. It is not just that we were hurt. It is that the hurt makes no sense. It feels random, chaotic, and therefore terrifying. When we are stuck in this cycle of confusion, we often blame ourselves. We think, if I had just been quieter or smarter or kinder, maybe they would not have snapped at me. But today, I want to offer you a different perspective. I want to offer you a dictum, a simple-sounding truth that can act as a balm for those haunting questions. It is a concept that might change the way you navigate every difficult interaction for the rest of your life. It is this: all cruelty is inherited. Let that sink in for a moment. All cruelty is inherited. The meanness that we witness around us in the here and now is not created in a vacuum. Whether it is happening in the grocery store aisles, in the high-pressure atmosphere of a boardroom, in the intimate quiet of a bedroom, or in the anonymous chaos of online forums, cruelty is never a spontaneous generation. By a strict law of psychological economy, the negativity we face is always something that has been passed down. It is a baton of pain, handed from one person to another with appalling diligence, often without the carrier even realizing what they are holding. ugliness that sometimes washes up on your doorstep. Maybe it is a neighbor who shouts about a property line, or a boss who humiliates you in a meeting. If we could peel back the layers of time, if we could see the invisible history trailing behind that person like a shadow, we would see that their behavior is a legacy. It is a legacy of ill treatment, violence, selfishness, hard-heartedness, cynicism, and indifference. This toxicity did not start with them. It came from somewhere offstage. It came from an angry father who did not know how to express fear, or a vindictive mother who felt small and needed to make others feel smaller. It came from a rageful great aunt who was trapped in a loveless marriage, or a sexually abusive uncle who was himself a victim of a twisted power dynamic. And the chain does not stop there. Those ancestors, the parents and grandparents of the person hurting you today, they were not the originators of the evil either. They were handed this corruption by a perverted grandfather or an alcoholic grandmother. If we could trace this red thread of pain back through the ages, we would see it winding its way up the generations. We would see it moving through the Industrial Revolution, through medieval wars, through ancient struggles for survival, all the way back to our earliest ancestors standing in the Rift Valley, or, if you prefer, the Garden of Eden. We are looking at complex, ancient chains of inheritance. Let us make this practical. Let us visualize it so we can truly understand it. Imagine a school corridor. There is a child there, perhaps 10 years old, who is bullying another child. He is using words that cut deep, mocking the other child's shoes or the way they speak. It is easy to look at that bully and see a bad seed. It is easy to label him as simply mean. But if we look closer, with the eyes of compassion and understanding, we might see the truth. That child is bullying someone in the corridor because, just 2 hours earlier, someone was mean to him back home. Perhaps his older brother humiliated him at the breakfast table, or his father shouted at him for a mistake he did not make. He is carrying a parcel of humiliation, and it is too heavy for him to bear alone. So he tries to offload it onto someone else. Consider a friend who fails to step up when you need them most. You are going through a crisis, and they vanish. They offer no support, no kindness. It feels like a betrayal. But if we look at the architecture of their emotional life, we might find that at a key juncture in their childhood, perhaps when they were 7 or 8, their mother remarried, and their emotional needs were sidelined. Or perhaps their father disappeared from their lives without explanation. They learned, way back then, that relying on others is dangerous, or that strong emotions are to be avoided. Their coldness toward you is not about you. It is an echo of a coldness they felt decades ago. We may not always have the privilege of knowing the details. When a stranger screams at us in traffic, or a customer denigrates us to a colleague, we do not get to read their biography. We may never know the particulars of the fathers who beat them or the mothers who ignored them. We cannot see the homes that brought them no comfort, and the long, dark nights that ended without a single word of consolation. But my friends, we do not need the specific details to know the structure. Once we understand the underlying logic, the chaos dissipates. We can look at the state of our world, the fighting, the wars between nations, the prevalence of alcoholism, the pettiness in politics, and we can see the evidence. Humans have been gifting each other these poisonous parcels of hatred for a very long time indeed. It is a tragic game of pass the parcel, where no one wins. He took out his eye because someone, long ago, took out his leg. She stole their land because someone, in a different time and place, made off with her heart. They are hurting their children because someone, generations ago, butchered their great-grandparents. The pain metamorphoses, it changes shape, but the energy remains the same. Now, I want to be very clear about something. This is a crucial distinction that we must make if we are to stay healthy and whole. Understanding the origin of cruelty is not the same as excusing it. We do not have to confuse these explanations with forgiveness unless we are ready to forgive. None of this denies accountability. Understanding that a person is acting out of inherited trauma does not mean they have the right to abuse you. It does not mean you should stay in a toxic relationship or tolerate a hostile work environment. Everyone has power, and therefore, everyone has a duty. We all have the duty to examine our own parcels, to look at what we have been handed, and to decide that we will not pass it on. However, when we understand that the person attacking us is actually fighting a ghost from their past, it changes how we feel. We take it less personally. We stop asking, "What is wrong with me?" And we start seeing the tragedy of the other person. We see them not as a monster, but as a broken link in a long chain. And this brings us to the most beautiful, powerful part of our conversation today. If cruelty is inherited, then stopping it is an act of heroic defiance. We can appreciate, with new strength and profound admiration, what an extraordinary achievement it is whenever a person breaks the cycle. Think about what it takes. A person who has been the recipient of cruelty, who has felt the sting of the baton, must use their imagination and moral discipline to refuse to hand that agony on to anyone else. This is the true definition of a hero in the modern world. It is not someone who slays a dragon. It is someone who slays the dragon inside themselves, so that their children do not have to fight it. Imagine a young man. Let us call him David. David grew up with a father who belittled him constantly. His father told him he was weak, stupid, and worthless. David carries those scars. He hears that voice in his head every day. But now, David has children of his own. When his son spills milk or cries over a broken toy, the old script rises in David's throat. The impulse to shout, to belittle, to pass on the pain is there. It is the path of least resistance. But David stops. He takes a breath. He looks at his son, and he chooses a different path. He kneels down. He speaks softly. He offers comfort. In that moment, David is rewriting history. He is acting as a dam, holding back a flood of generational trauma. Or imagine a young woman, let us call her Sarah. Sarah was taunted by her father. She was told she was unlovable, difficult, and a burden. As she grows up and enters the dating world, she has a deep, subconscious urge to torment her suitors. She wants to test them, to punish them, to make them feel the insecurity she felt. But she meets a vulnerable, kind-hearted man, and instead of lashing out, instead of playing games, she does the hard work. She goes to therapy. She journals. She meditates. She learns to recognize the urge to be cruel, and she chooses to be a patient and kind-hearted partner instead. She creates a safe space for love, a space that never existed for her. My friends, we can appreciate anew what true alchemy this is. To turn meanness into kindness is a miracle. To have been the recipient of abuse, to have absorbed the poison, and yet to say, "This stops with me," is the noblest thing a human being can do. It is the process of using suffering as a furnace. Instead of letting the suffering consume you, you use the heat of that pain to generate warmth for others. You use the fire to forge a new tool, a tool of love and compassion. This is the single largest opportunity any of us will ever have to change history. You might not lead a nation. You might not discover a cure for a disease. You might not write a novel that is read by millions. But if you can stop a cycle of abuse in your own family, in your own workplace, or in your own circle of friends, you have altered the course of the future. You have saved unborn generations from pain. You have cleared the air for people you will never even meet. So, how do we do this? How do we become these alchemists of the soul? First, we must practice awareness. We must catch ourselves when we are about to lash out. When you feel that sudden surge of anger or the desire to say something hurtful, pause. Ask yourself, is this about the person in front of me? Or is this about something old? Am I reacting to the present moment? Or am I reenacting a past wound? This pause is the space where freedom lives. It is the space where we can choose a different response. Second, we must cultivate compassion for ourselves. Breaking the cycle is exhausting work. It requires immense energy to resist the momentum of the past. You will make mistakes. You will slip up. And when you do, you must be gentle with yourself. You must treat yourself with the kindness you were denied. Healing is not a straight line. It is a spiral. We circle back, but each time we are a little higher, a little wiser. Third, we must look at those who hurt us with a dual vision. We must hold them accountable for their actions. Yes, boundaries are essential. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to say no. But at the same time, we can try to see the wounded child within them. We can try to see the heavy inheritance they are carrying. This does not mean we let them harm us, but it frees us from the burden of hating them. Hatred binds us to the person who hurt us. Understanding cuts the cord. As you go about your week, I invite you to look for these invisible chains. When you see someone acting out, try to imagine the backstory. Try to see the ghosts standing behind them. And more importantly, look at your own heart. What are you carrying? What was handed to you that you do not want to keep? You have the permission to set it down. You do not have to carry the anger of your grandfather or the sorrow of your mother. You can thank them for doing the best they could with what they had. And then you can gently place that burden on the side of the road and walk on, lighter and freer. Remember, you are not just a passive recipient of your DNA or your history. You are an active creator of your destiny. Every time you choose kindness over cruelty, patience over irritation, and understanding over judgment, you are performing magic. You are cleaning up the timeline of humanity. You are making the world a little bit softer, a little bit safer for everyone who comes after you. I know this is heavy work. I know it is not easy, but I also know that you are capable of it. You have a reservoir of strength inside you that is deeper than any ocean. You have a capacity for love that is brighter than any star. You are here to break the chains, not to forge new ones. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being brave enough to look at the hard things. Thank you for being part of this community of people who are striving to live with a happy aura. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and remember, the cycle stops with you. You have the power. You have always had the power. I am sending you so much love and light. Until next time, take care of your beautiful hearts. Goodbye for now.